What can be done to increase employment opportunities for those with high school educations but without advanced degrees?
Economic development, bringing new industry to the area. We have lost a lot of the skilled labor. So bringing in those types of companies that would require skilled labor could improve the job. Also, the city itself can start looking at those individuals that can work to do city jobs to get employment with the city. Thank you.
Ms. Parrish.
We do have an agency here called TROSA who works to rehabilitate addicts and or folks with other problems. One agency. We have others, and typically it's difficult for young men, and unfortunately a large percentage of those are African American men coming out of prisons. When they come out, they leave the prison with nothing, and then they're expected to get a job, usually with no training, and they do a background check. They don't hire them, so you get a vicious cycle. We need to break that, and there are jobs here. I know with the city during summer, for even the high school students, you can employ them. We're talking minimum wage, but that's a job. And when they learn to get a job, or you can employ them, they learn to earn money, then you started them on a cycle that should be productive for the rest of their life. They at least know what that's like, rather than having them without a job, and if they're just sitting around with nothing to do, they get frustrated.
Time.
There's one of the things that the city's been doing for the last several years, the city and the county. We give companies incentive dollars to come here. The problem is that the city does not do a follow-through to make sure that these new companies that come into the city or go out into the RTP, we do not make sure that they are hiring our local citizens. About 63,000 persons, my understanding, come from Raleigh, other surrounding areas to this community for employment. One of the things I would really like to see is that our local residents who live in this city, who pay taxes, regardless if it's our grandmothers who only make a few dollars, but they own their home, they're paying taxes. We need to make sure that our local citizens are getting these jobs. Also, many of our people are untrained. We don't have any training facilities. Wake County has a 2-year college, but they also have a vocational center. They are training their residents. That's why many of Wake folks come into Durham for employment. But we allow our young folk in this community ramble the streets, walk the streets, but we do not have a free vocational center in this community.
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Chair, would you run that back to me again, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
The question was, what can be done to increase employment opportunities for those who have high school educations but not advanced degrees?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say that the city has been hiring people that are been in prison and trying to improve themselves. But however, we cannot sit or not stand and say that the city or any other organization will not hire you. Now, we have a problem. I have a problem. We need somebody on the council that will go out into the community and talk to these kids about their appearance. A lot of people can't do this. I can do it because the people know me. They know what I stand for. That's what we need. Nobody's going to give you a job when you can't work. You got to hold your pants up on you to work. Man can't use you. That's just all as simple as that. People's not giving you something for nothing. Stand up there with your holding your pants. You got to use your hand. Thank you.
Around job creation and being able to understand what we have in the city. We need to deal with the issue of unemployment and as well as underemployment and develop programs maybe with the partnership of the Durham Technical Community College, which is a big asset in our community, which can provide some skill development. Also look at the workforce development. I think the question was brought up about there's so much development going on currently in our city that we can find not just minimum wage jobs, but livable wage jobs. So let's look at some of the opportunities that we have for our students and other people that are underemployed or unemployed, develop a skill set that is more transferable. So that if you learn how to be a carpenter, one of the big jobs that are going on downtown, that if for some reason you get unemployed, you can go your own business and also serve the community in that way and provide taxes for the city.
Mr. Brown.
Thanks for that question. We're not up here running for school board, but there are things we can and should be doing. Number one, the Holcomb School Project. Well, we are working with both the Durham School Board and the County Commissioners to open that as a vocational school. Secondly, the Mayor's Summer Youth Employment Jobs, that we've trained 300 to 400 young people a year. That introduces them to the job market. Thirdly, our Workforce Development Department, which is only about 6 years old, is doing, I think, a very fine job in trying to answer some of the questions here concerning young people. And finally, University of Washington study showed, it's what I call 5 and 5. What we need to do in this community is reduce the dropout rate. We have too many kids dropping out of school. Nationally, if we increase the rate of high school graduates by 5% on the one hand, on the other hand, we will increase, or I should say reduce by $5 billion social costs in terms of those that did not graduate.
You got a follow-up?
The school just isn't just not teaching the curriculum, that a skill that kids need to have. That's why you have a lot of dropout. Kids are not interested. You got to build an interest in what you're teaching in school. Case in point, we had carpenter in school, we had auto mechanic in school, tailoring. All these things are out of school, so kids have nothing to go back for. We've got to develop something to make them want to go back to school.
Thank you.
I would agree, also, having been in education 32 years as a administrator, well, I don't want to see any child fail. The AYP standards, I think unfairly have labeled our schools because we are so diverse. To make the higher percentages in all of those 10 categories is difficult when you have ESL students come in and can't speak the language. And you fail in one category, you're labeled as a non-adequate performing school for the year. And that's not really what goes on in our schools. Yes, we could change some of the curriculum, and yes, we need to better serve our students and our communities with that. So I just wanted to add that because I think Durham in particular does a whole lot better than is indicated by just those standards, those testing standards. All students don't test equally well either, and I don't think we've ever prepared students to learn how to take a test.
Yes, when I first ran for office in 2002, I spoke about Durham needing some vocational centers. Now, some of the city council members will always say, yes, well, we're working on this new school, and we're planning to do a vocational center. Let me just share this with you. Last year, we had well over 16,000 persons in our community going in and out of that county jail. Of those 16,000, 10,000 of them were African-American men. 2,000 of them were white males. Listen, I'm tired of hearing folks who are sitting on the council talking about what we're planning to do. There are some things that they should have been already doing. If you can continuing to find monies, $4 million to remodel the new dam, you were able to find monies to build another parking deck. And Central needs to go downtown and ask the city council for some monies to build a parking deck over here on this campus.